Okay, so let's see how I say this. We've been having problems, right? Like we just had an incident that was pretty. It's bigger than it sounds, and it's smaller than it sounds at the same time. I don't know how to explain that, but it sucks that it happened. We all know what it was. I don't need to say it. Um, but yeah, it's not good. And some people on the left are like, yeah, yeah, and some people on the right are gonna probably want blood or something, and that's what I'm worried about, like them starting to tit for tat with this, because these are signs of instability in an economy, and as you can see, I have a chart of the purchasing power of the dollar, and as much as that looks like it's gone down to hell, it's probably like this one of the stronger currencies on the planet, if not the strongest. I don't know. The pound would beat us, but even they got their problems. So, and I wanted to like as fast as I can tell the story because like most people just don't understand like money in terms of like what its history is and stuff. Because like people go, well, we should be on the gold standard, and it's like, well, that didn't solve everything. Um, it was part of a solution at the time. But the history of money in this country and in the world, like I think in China they had paper currencies that lasted like I don't know, almost 500 years or something. So it's not like paper currency doesn't work, but now people don't even want the paper; they just want that card. And what happens when you swipe it and nothing happens? It says declined. Um, you know, That's why I advise everyone to use cash, even though it's paper money, to use it. Just, take some money out and, you know, buy lunch with it once in a while. Just do that. Tip in cash. And say tax free, baby. That's like my favorite thing to do because it just kind of keeps paper currency alive. I don't like the idea of like the central bankers like controlling cash so much that they like can just go push a button and your credit card doesn't work. They would like it, that's ultimate control. It's more than just wealth; it's power. Um, but anyway, the purchasing power of a dollar has declined. Nobody's clueless about that. The price of housing, blah blah blah. Um, you know, we've had tremendous inflation. I was arguing that it was bad in like I was betting on inflation in like 2011 and 2009, 10, 11, and I made good money betting on that because it did happen. Even though the numbers said there's no inflation, there's no inflation. I'm like BS. Look at the gas price. Look at the price of like the metals and stuff like that. Look at the price of oil and stuff like that. And housing's coming back, and it did. Um, it was all like they were just throwing money into the economy through debt, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Money is debt, and it's really hard to explain this to some people, but most of the money that's in circulation, I'm not talking about what's in your pocket. Um, most of the money is debt. Like, in fact, most people use their credit card to buy things. That's debt. And I mean, it spends the same, it buys the same. Like if you have $10 and I have, a $10 bill and I have a credit card, we can both buy the same cheeseburger, right? I just went into debt and you paid for it with what you had. So the government goes into debt constantly, and they've been just doing this and doing this and doing this at an accelerating pace. And it was frighteningly bad. It was like bad enough in 2009 when they like bailed out the banks and stuff, but it was frighteningly bad when they had the Rona. I mean, oh my god! I was like, what is going on here? We had the most weird dislocation. For one moment, like they pay you to buy it to take oil. Like it was like things got so weird. It was like a flash crash from hell. Yeah, and it was actually a great opportunity to buy just about anything. But of course, it's always hard to do that because you have this fear, like, what's going to happen? Like, is it just going to be like this forever? That's, unless you're on the inside, you have to like have a pair. And so, I've gotten a little better at, like, say, buying the dip. But anyway, as they say in the stock market. But anyway, like, what happened was, like, in the U.S., we used, like, let's just go back, I don't know, to a little after the revolution of the United States. We were using actually, like, Mexican silver coins and stuff. Because it made for good money. It was easy to exchange, and we used that. And then banks started to emerge, and they made banknotes, and they would redeem it in gold or silver if you decided to do so. But it was convenient to just use their paper note. And you would have a paper note, and then you wanted to buy something from somebody else, but they go, "Well, I don't trust that bank, so I'm gonna give you like 80% on that." If it's like $100, they're gonna be like, "I'm gonna give you like 80% on that $100 because I don't know if I'm gonna have to like go to that bank if I want to redeem my metal." So that's what they did, and it worked. It slowly developed into a pretty good what they call the gold standard, right? And but it's not like a perfect solution because, like, the thing is like when a bunch of gold was discovered or something, the dollar went down. Especially like in a town where they discovered the gold. So they go, "There's never been inflation without gold. There's never been wars, or sorry, when there was gold." Um, BS on both. The Civil War was fought when there was a gold standard, and you know, so that's like the biggest war this country ever fought, and I hope that's not where we're going now. Let's hope not. I don't think so. I'm not trying to get all Tim Pool. Um, but then you know, after what happened was like we had the depression, the 1930s depression, and they didn't know what to do. So they had this economist named Keynes, who was kind of socialistic, and he I think he was British or something, and they basically like they banned. It's kind of messed up. They banned the ownership of gold in this country. They banned it. You could have your jewelry, of course, but they banned like bars and coins and all that. Like that was you're supposed to turn it in, and if you didn't, it was a felony after that. And so, what they did was they took all that gold, put it somewhere supposedly, Fort Knox, right? Oh yeah, when did we get to see that? And then they basically they revalued gold to a higher value and told the rest of the world our dollar is still gold backed, but not for Americans. It's like internal. It's kind of like what the Chinese do with their currency. They have two currencies. They have like an internal currency and an external currency. And it was yeah, it's pretty messed up if you think about it. Um, yeah, I don't know what the best solution was, but they had to print a bunch of money, and they needed a way to do it without messing up. So that's what they did, and it worked. And then we had like the World War II and stuff like that, and the World War II. And then you know, after we got to like the 70s or so, and Vietnam was going, I think again another war. Um, they the French wanted their gold. Like they said, we have all these dollars, we have these bonds, we have all this stuff. Like we don't want it anymore. We want the gold. We want to redeem it. And Nixon said no. He told them to go suck it. Basically, we defaulted. It's like having a payment and you just say you're not going to pay it. And he said, "You got that paper? Spend it wherever you want." You know, and he decouples the dollar from gold completely. That was the end of it, and that was like about 50 some odd years ago. And when he did that, I was like 58, maybe almost not 60, like something like that. It was like in the 70s, early 70s. And when he did so, the it didn't really like just make inflation go like hyperinflation in the U.S., but it didn't take long for that inflation to pick up. Like a couple years later, it was going, like the dollar lost value and it just started to basically happen. And so, you know, we we have these deals we have with these Arab countries, right? Where like they do their oil in dollars. Okay, it's called the petrodollar. So in other words, instead of the dollar being backed by gold, it got backed by oil, and it's still kind of like that, believe it or not. And at this point, by the time I was alive, we got to a regime where the dollar was backed by two things: F-16s and Marines. You use our dollar or you get liberated, quote unquote. Yeah, like to the oil producing. I mean, we're not telling the Europeans they have to, but they're going to have to buy. They're going to have to use dollars to buy it from the Arabs. That was kind of the idea. The Norwegians, I don't know. They just basically did their own thing. They're allowed to. I don't know. I don't know who's going to invade Norway. That's kind of really dumb. It's kind of like Venezuela, like right now, and that's what brings me to now is Venezuela. Uh, they seem to be on the list of countries that Venezuela and Iran are like two countries that are kind of like toying with the idea of joining the other countries that are big enough that we can invade, like Russia and China. We can't invade Russia and China, like we can't. Like we're messing with them in Ukraine. We're trying to like destabilize them and make it, but we can't. We cannot invade Russia, but we could. They're hoping they can destabilize it, and then like they take Putin out or something like that. The Russians do, because there's some Russians who are probably really unhappy. And then so Venezuela is like a country that they want to make sure they stay on the dollar, like stick with the program. And the Maduro guy may not be doing that. I don't know. I don't have the inside information, but I know like with Gaddafi, he his cardinal Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, their cardinal sins was using the money from the oil for their people. And even though they were dictators, they basically like spent money on their people and to stay in power. I'm not saying they were saints, but they did that, and that's why they got invaded because everybody knew Iraq had anybody with a brain knew Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11, and they didn't even have the weapons of mass. They couldn't even like plant weapons of mass destruction. It was like, and nobody, it was ridiculous. And Gaddafi, what they blamed him for some terrorist attack on an airplane once in the 80s, and Reagan shot a missile at them or something like that, supposedly killing one of his daughters. I don't know if that was real or what happened, but you know, we then during the Obama era. What's funny because like all my Democrat friends, they don't even know that this is like this because it's like he did almost the same thing Bush did. He did regime change on a country over oil because he had a whole plan to sell his oil and some other currency that he wanted to create and like in Africa and stuff. And that's why they got liberated. It wasn't done by an invasion. It was done by like a surreptitious kind of thing, intelligence agencies and whatnot. And and then Hillary's like, "We came, we saw, he died." And I'm like, "You sick bitch! I hate you." That's why I voted for Trump in 2016, but I bought his BS. He's no better. But like pretty much the same thing, and if not worse. And then yeah, so that's what's going on, and I believe as we are having trouble holding the glue together that keeps the dollar like powerful, our own society is like starting to have problems. It's been a while. Like it's been going on for a while, and like half my lifetime, let's say. But now it's starting to accelerate when we see stuff like what we just saw, and people just getting all agitated over just somebody talking about politics or something. And yeah, it's not good. Um, and it'll happen to the other side too. Like some right winger will do it, some left winger. It's just a mess, and it's really sad. It's like this one person I followed. She said we paint targets on each other, even for the dumbest things, and it's starting to accelerate. Like I agree with her 100%. So, so in any case, I wanted to explain at least my opinion on how economics drive all the craziness that you're seeing. It's not really like people are going crazy because of the internet or something. I mean, that's part of it, but because they have more access to like random information or whatever, and they can, especially with AI, you can be fooled or something. But there's also this existential dread. Like, I don't know if you've ever been on a cattle ranch, but if you know slaughter day, when they decide to cull the herd a little bit, the cows know. I don't know how to explain it, but they start getting all anxious and like kind of they know what's going on. Like they know they're going to be turned into hamburgers and steaks and stuff. So you know, and I ate meat. I ate beef today, so don't I'm not being a vegan or nothing. I'm just telling you how I think about it. But I really believe. I'm not saying they're going to eat us. By the way, I'm not. I'm just saying like people that have an existential dread on an unconscious level, and I see it everywhere about the future for their kids, and it's because basically like we're being eaten alive financially by the super wealthy. And when you say that, they're like, "Oh, well, you're a socialist." Well, yeah, okay, yeah, I am. Fine, if that's what it is. I don't want to see the world turn into what where they just throw us in the trash and that's it. Because 90% of us, they don't care. They, you know, um, the people at the very top. When we're talking about like the 0.01% or whatever, or 0.10 or whatever. But yeah, that's what's been going on. We used to have a society like that was more equitable. Um, I would say like in the 40s and 50s and 60s. Yeah, but those were horrible wars and stuff like that. So maybe they only did it so that people didn't like riot or something. Because there were really bad wars that they threw young men into. So anyway, that's probably all part of this too. But yeah, so when you're wondering what's going on, um, my advice is look at the economics and as far as like the purchasing power of the dollar, like buying gold is like yeah whatever, but you can do it, but it's just like where are you gonna sell it if it really goes bananas? Um, you know, uh, probably the best bet is to like go into debt on a house or something, or own like high quality stocks. But I don't know. I don't have the best advice. I'm not rich. I've done better than some, but it's not like I'm the wealthiest guy in the world. So, but I would just be thinking in that direction. Like the people that did get wealthy in the past, they bought like high quality stocks and looked for companies that, I mean, some of them are pretty boring, like I study Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. So, as far as preserving your wealth and stuff like that and investing. So that's what I got. I don't know. It's not a pretty picture. And yeah, that event at first I was like, who cares about that Kirk guy? Because I didn't even watch him or know about him. But it does matter because if we're shooting people for their opinions, it's that's not a good path to go down. That's like a third world country path. So I'll leave it with that.